Diversity and inclusivity mean a lot to me, both personally and professionally, because I come from a very ethnically diverse family where we also have a lot of small time business owners. On my mother's side of the family, she is half white and half Southern Korean. My father's side of the family hails from New Orleans, Louisiana. So, as you can imagine, he's a whole melting pot of different ethnicities. And with that, they have faced a lot of struggles, starting back in 1940 during World War II and through the 1960s during the Vietnam War. This is my maternal grandmother, Tolson Kim. She's 81 years old. She was born in Busan, South Korea in 1943, and unfortunately she was orphaned at the age of 4. Around that time, her and her siblings did have to move into other South Korean family homes where they did start working at very young ages as a live-in maid, cook, nanny. Around the time my grandmother was 20, she did meet my grandfather, Claire Peterson. He was deployed in Vietnam for the Vietnam War, but when he was granted leave, he would go and visit Busan and other cities in South Korea. Harmony, which is the Korean word for grandmother, was working at a GI market where they met. He fell head over heels for her instantly. She wasn't so sure about him, but they did hit it off even with this severe lack of verbal communication. Claire did not know any Korean, and Harmony did not know any English. They still continued to see each other while Claire was in Vietnam, and they ended up being married in 1967. In 1968, Harmony was able to come to the U.S. with Claire. She remembers being so horrified and scared because it was such a new and big country. She didn't know what to do. She did face a lot of discrimination because there was very high tension for Asian Americans at this time. It didn't matter that she wasn't Vietnamese, that she was Korean. People saw what they wanted to see. The one prolific moment that she can remember was when they were driving from Virginia to California and they went through Utah. Every restaurant they would try to stop in Utah refused to serve them solely because Harmony was Asian. In 1985, Harmony and Claire did end up getting divorced, but Harmony ended up buying a franchise of an Altadena creamery in Chino Hills. She was successfully able to run this small business for about 5 to 7 years before she eventually did sell it. These are my paternal great-grandparents. This is Gigi, or Grace Marine. Unfortunately, she did pass away 2 years ago, but at the very old age of 99. And this is Pops, or Louis Marine. He is my great-grandfather, and he is 101 years old, and he is still with us. So these two were born and raised in New Orleans. They were Creole, and at this point, that they were not treated nicely down there. They were discriminated against. Pops actually did have to drop out of school when he was in the 8th grade because he needed to work and help his family earn more money to make the ends meet. When World War II came around, Pops was drafted. Since he didn't go to high school, he just put down the closest high school that was to him, and it was an all-black high school. So when he was put into his military troop, it was an all-black regiment, which Pops is Creole, but he is very passé blanc, but it did not matter. So he was deployed out of Camp Pendleton. He came to California, and he was very pleasantly surprised about how liberal California was in terms of race. He was very reserved when he was around women, especially Caucasian women, but everyone was so welcoming to him that he knew in that moment if he made it out of this war, he was going to move his family to California. So as soon as 1947 came around, he got an apartment in Los Angeles, a tiny apartment, but an apartment, and he was going to move his family. However, Pops also had a thriving dry cleaning business. His main customer group were Creole and Black people. He was getting lowballed when he was trying to sell it. He was not getting the money that he knew that his business was worth solely because of the customer base. So what did Pops do? He sent Grace and then my grandma Donna to California ahead of time, and Pops lived in New Orleans by himself for 3 years. Eventually, he did find a buyer that would pay him what his company was worth, and then he came to California, and that's how the Denos got here. And that's where we get to my parents, Gary and Susan. Gary grew up hearing about the stories from his grandparents, and Susan not only heard the stories from Harmony, but she saw it firsthand. They both also at certain times faced discrimination themselves. My father's story is he remembers being pulled over by a cop when he was 9 because they didn't believe that his red twin bike was his. My mom remembers the really disturbing rhymes that kids would say to her regarding her Asian heritage. And that was something that my parents never put up with. They always taught myself and my siblings to always be accepting of others, never to discriminate, and to take pride in our ethnic diversities. My ethnic diversity is something that's one of my favorite parts about myself. We and my family, we still practice so many traditions, both from the Korean side and the Creole side, and seeing the importance of inclusivity and diversity, not only in university, but also in a future career, that is something that needs to continue to develop worldwide, in my opinion, and it's something that should be at the forefront of everyone's mind. Because you do have families like me where we're very unique, and there's been so many stories that we either hear or see, and we just need to continue learning and being better for the future.